I need to start labeling the shiurim again on my phone because otherwise I might lose track of what we're holding. But now we're holding Maimer Yud, Parak Gimel. We're discussing the concept that you have two different kinds of hashpah, two different kinds of ways that Hashem sustains the world. There's the way that He does it in an internal way, which is very focused, very measured, and this expresses itself in Torah and mitzvos, which are very measured, and they rely on logic and rationality, or not rationality in the sense that they have rationales. Some mitzvahs are above reasoning, but everything fits into a system in the world for Torah and mitzvahs, and this is how Yidden are supposed to receive their chayas, their shefa. And for other things in the world, Hashem says they're not the focus of the world. They exist and they're important for the world to be what the world is, but they're not the real essence, essential reason why I created the world. I'm not connected to them. It's more on a chitoniistic way. And so they receive from this chitoniistic level of, we say, chitonius of the makif, that there's Hashem's apathy towards the world in the sense that He creates it, but He's completely removed from it in a certain way. And this apathy leaves for a lot of room for a lot of hashpah because nothing really matters. It doesn't matter if you have a lot or if you have a little. This is how Goyim receives, so it's much less ordered. It's a much less ordered system. A Yid is technically able to receive in this way, but it's not fitting in the sense for a Yid to receive from this kitonius of Makif, because a Yid is shaykh to Pimius. Now this is what we're discussing, and we're going to elaborate on this a little bit more. So, this is the reason why the Yidden are in Galus and they're put down, they're lowly. This is caused by sins and inequities. I wonder if they translated it like that. Anyhow, just transgression, even though the Sulushanis, they got lazy. So when they were doing the will of Hashem, when the Yidden were doing the will of Hashem, in fulfilling Torah and mitzvahs in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, they were on a very lofty level. They had a lot of material good. You had each man under, like I think it's from like Micha or something like that. Each man under his vine, each man under his fig tree. That everyone had his own vine, his own fig tree. He was very self-sufficient. He didn't have to worry about needing to trade or whatever to make a living. He just had everything he needed. It was man agalos chaserim koltev begashmis v'nifnim v'mushpalim v'beis shezeh v'sibas achatayim ha'avonis asher molim is b'chol divrei hanavim. And in the time of Golos, all of these physical goods were lacking, and the Yidden are lacking, and the Yidden are put down and lowly, and this is because of the sins and the inequities that we hear about all the time in the words of the Nevi'im. Just to be clear, I think that there's enough instances in Tanakh, and he doesn't say this outright, but I think it's very clear, that there's enough instances in Tanakh where it says that the Yidden didn't have material good in the times of Beis HaMikdash. This is because of sins. But the system over there works very well with sins means that you have negativity, and mitzvahs means that you have positivity, because everything was running on the system. So when there were Averis going on, there were famines and things like that, and when not, it wasn't. Well, the Beis HaMikdash was like the fact that we were in Yerushalayim, in Eretz Yisrael, we had the Beis HaMikdash, was in a sense a symbol of the fact that this is how the system is going, that we're fitting in the system properly.
But even now in Golis, Jews have material goods beyond what it would be capable for a nation of 19 million people.
Yeah, definitely. We're getting into the concept of...
It's just interesting how you talk about how at the times of the Beis HaMikdash there still were... people still didn't have material of what they were looking for.
If they were doing good, they had a lot. In the days of Shlomo HaMelech, it says that gold, the equivalent of what silver is to us, as opposed to gold. Gold was by them. As in gold for them was like silver. It was like everything was a settler because they just had so much abundance.
But that wasn't everyone, right? You just said...
Well, not every generation. Yeah. In the generation was doing good, then the generation had a lot of it.
It was the generation.
I would imagine that it also worked on an individual level. It's just they don't really tell us individual accounts in Tanakh, so I only know about generations. Well, yeah. So yeah, but what happens in Golos is very funky. That's what we're discussing. Okay. So the question comes up, which is, why is it that the Yidden don't receive from the level of Makif, as in when the Yidden were doing Averis in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, why didn't they get Chayas from in the way of Makif? Say Goyim do things that are connected to Klippus, etc., and they get from the level of Makif where there's an abundance because there's complete apathy or almost complete apathy, and they receive in a very abundant way. When the Yidden are doing Averis in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, why wasn't it okay? So when the Yidden are doing things according to Torah, they get whatever little bit they get. When they do Averis, they can get so much more. So El Zom and Meshach Yisrael him the Esem Mechinas Pnimius. Because Yidden are essentially a level of Pnimius. They're essentially this more internal. They're connected to Torah. This is who we are in our essence. And we receive Chayas, a sustenance of vitality, through the level of Primi that we discussed in previous Maimarim, the way that Hashem connects to the world in a way that's very measured and very thought out and very rational. As it says in as it says that if you follow, it's a Parshas Mechukesa, if you follow my statutes, then I will give you I will give them rain in their time, and the land will give its yield. That all physical things that come to us happen through Torah and mitzvos. And also in this, there's a great amount of hashpah, there's a great amount of sustenance. Because the source of the Primi is from the Primius of Hashem's Etzem, of Atzmos Urian Seif. And we're not saying Atzmos, so there's different levels, whatever. We're only referring to after the. Not Dafka, after the Simpson, whatever. The point is, I'm not saying Dafka Atzmos Aaron Safe. That was a side rant for me, don't worry about it. Sometimes there's a revelation of light which is greater than the essence of Aaron Safe in Seder Shalshos. And like in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, that there was a great light that shone from higher than Seder Shalshos, higher than this entire system of do things matter, do things make sense, do things not make sense, and is Hashem apathetic. There was just a very essential connection that we had to Hashem that existed in the times of the Beis HaMikdash that reached even higher than that, and it happened through the fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs in general and through the avodah of the Kabbalah specifically. And therefore, there was also physical sustenance, and it came in a much more abundant way. But it came from a way of Primis. It didn't come from a way of Makif, the way that Goyim received. Goyim received because Hashem doesn't care. Yidden receive, if Yidden is after doing Torah mitzvahs, you have in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, the Karbanis that we receive from higher than that, we receive from Primis, higher than Primis, of Aaron Safe. Then the Yidden are not just receiving because Hashem doesn't care, the Yidden are receiving because Hashem is able to do anything. It's a subtle. Goyim are able to get a lot if they tap into the Makif because they're tapping into the Chesinis of Makif. The Goyim are able to receive a lot because it doesn't really matter either way. And when Yidden are connected, the Yidden can receive a lot because this is what Hashem cares about. And on the subject of this reaching to higher than Atzmos Aaron Safe, which was saying that, just to be clear, you have the Primi, you have the Makif, and in the Makif you have the Chitzonis of Makif, and you have the Primius of Makif. And so we say that the Primi is shaykh to the Primius of Makif. The Primius of Makif is more shaded away, it's more the Primius, so you need more to bring it out. It ultimately comes out to be the Primi. Higher than that, you have higher, let's say, the Shalshlos. So, in referring to this place higher than, say, the Shalshlos, where this entire notion of caring about it or not caring about it and all of that things, this is higher than all of that. Reaching to that place, even though when you have an Primi that everything matters, and then you have Makif where things don't really matter so much, or you say that Hashem is quote unquote apathetic, or as far as Makif is concerned. Even though this is a higher level than this, when you go higher than that, on that higher level, that there reaches the pain and the suffering of Yidden. As it says, that in all of the Yidden's pain, he has pain. And it says in Zayar, it says no with an al. It says loy b'alef. It says the word loy. So if you read loy with an aleph, then it means that in all of his pain, that in all of the Yidden's pain, he doesn't have pain. Loy tzar, there's no pain. Or you could read it, with a vav, that in all of his pain, that in all of the Yidden's pain, Hashem has pain. Loitzar, he has pain. So it says in the Zohar, it's the word loy is written with an aleph, but it's read with a vav. Begin the Kuntreis Umayan because the Yidden, Hashem is with the Yidden in their suffering. Loy ba'aleph asar ila yatir. Not with the aleph, which is in a higher place, but atik, which is referring to the level of atik, which calls Zayar B'Chel Gimel B'Idr Zota. Here's how the Gesef from the base. Avol Atika Kedisha Sesima Leiniskinu. Afal Gav the Lava Ahu Asar Rugza of Aku Lahasan Leila Matu Aksa D'Yisrael. So it's saying that Loy with an aleph is reaching to a higher place, which is referring to the level of atik, and then it says that it's not whatever, quoting a different thing in Zohar, and then it says that even though in that time he is not angry, nevertheless the suffering of the Yidden goes up to there. So the Gemara Isa Pasuk, and the Gemara says about the Pasuk, says in the Pasuk that in the hidden places my soul weeps because of the pride. So it says in the Gemara, there's a place that Hashem has which is called Mistarim. What does it mean? That Hashem is crying because of pride. What does it mean because of pride? It means because of the pride of the Yidden that was taken from them. Does Hashem cry? Is there crying before Hashem? But Papa says that there is no sadness by Hashem. So like Kasha. The Gemara says it's not a question. This is in the place which is outside. And this is inside. So Hashem outwardly never shows any sadness. However, inwardly Hashem has a hidden place, kaviyachal. Obviously, all of this is referring to a metaphorical thing. It's not like Hashem has a WeWork room that he rents and he goes in there in order to cry. This is referring to metaphorically. As far as appearances go and things like that, Hashem doesn't have any sadness. But as far as really the thing is internally, kind of a play on the concept of internally, because it's like kaviyachal, like when a person goes into a private room. But when Hashem retreats into himself, kaviyachal, if you want to say, really inside of Hashem actually cries when the Yidden's pride is taken away from them.
If he's so sad, why doesn't he change it?
There's so much to be said.
I know. It's like an obvious question.
Whatever it is, it's like I was talking to a friend yesterday, and the concept came up about it, like a certain person doing a certain avera. It's like a b'shegig, whatever. They don't really know. And I said, look, as far as things go with like that avera, if they were asking me, am I allowed to do kach v'kach? I would have to tell them no. But am I happy that they're enjoying themselves? I'm happy that they're enjoying themselves. So, if you're asking me why Hashem does whatever, I could try to come up with justifications. But I'm a Yid in Golos. I'm not going to come up with a justification for Hashem to keep us in Golos. I'm not playing that game. Yeah, I agree with you. It's not a good question. There is Rashi, and Rashi explained. It says that there is there is crying in the internal places, because it says that in the hidden places that Hashem, it says in the hidden places that Hashem cries in the hidden places. That in the hidden places, Dafke and Hashem in the Primus and Asmus of Aaron safe. Over there, Hashem can cry over the pride of the Eden which was taken. I know, that is to say, that is to say that you didn't have this connection to the level of Primus, even all the way at the top of the chain. You didn't have a connection to Primus, and everything you didn't have a connection to Primus. And in Hashem's real internal will, Hashem really wants to give good for people that do mitzvahs. So this is like the essence of what it is connected to Hashem's essence, and it's a very, very lofty thing. Just to go back about the Zohar, I'm not sure because I'm not a Baki in Zohar, I'm not a Baki in the Shemus of Zohar, but I think that he's saying that the loy with an aleph is referring to, in a sense, something which is aluf, which is like la, which means like a chief, which is something that's lofty. It says it's referring to atik. I'm not sure if I'm missing the Lashonis, so I need to look into it a little bit more. So maybe I'll look up the Zohar after. But I think he's saying that even the level of atik, which I don't know if it necessarily means so much, Well, Atik is a very spiritual level. I think he's saying that in the level of Atik, Taka, the Eivisher is Netak and Nibdal from the world. Hashem is Atik is Meloshin. The word Atik is related to the word removed, Netak, which they've taken away. So Atik is a very lofty level, and I think that what he's saying is that B'chol Tzarasam Lei Tzar Lei with an Aleph is referring to the level of Atik, where there is no pain to Hashem in the level of Atik. But even higher than Atik, if you want to say Primius Atik or something like that, something that's loftier than Atik, over there Hashem Taka has pain, the Lei with above. It's also interesting to note. I don't know if he's going to note it in like a future Ma'amar. I didn't prepare ahead of Amish. I prepared this, but there's another pasuk, a pasuk in Iyov that says, "Hein yukteluni lo yayachal." That if Hashem will kill me, I will yearn for him. But there's a word lo over there, and it doesn't mean lo yayachal that I will no longer yearn, lo with an aleph, or lo with a vav, lo yayachal I will yearn for him. And it's interesting because there's a kriya and a ksiv also over there, and the kriya is with a vav, and the ksiv is with an aleph, just like over here. I think it's interesting maybe to say that this thing works both ways, that as far as chitonius goes, as far as like, not necessarily chitonius, Atik is, you can't really call Atik chitonius, but as far as the lower level goes, the level that Hashem shows to everyone, Leitzar, he doesn't have pain on the Yidin Argalis, but really B'Primius, B'Mistarim, Hashem Taka cries. I think you can say maybe there's a comparison to be had also for Hein Yukteluni Layayachel, that externally, when Hashem causes something negative, like I don't know if the concept of the book of Iyov. There's a guy and Hashem made him suffer a lot because the Satan said that he's only a good guy because he has a lot of material goods. Hashem took that away, and it's a whole back and forth about the suffering. So Iyov says Hein Yukteluni Layayachel. I think it was Iyov that said it. Hein Yukteluni Layayachel, that on an external level, if Hashem will do negative to me, why should I try to do anything good for Hashem? Why should I hope for Hashem? But in a more primistic way, when you have inside you yearn for him. I think it's an interesting comparison to be had. But anyhow, therefore, because of the calling out of the congregation of Israel, when they cry out in their pain, they are able to arouse great mercy upon themselves. It says that the Jews moaned from their work and they cried out. Because of this was the beginning of the redemption, and it says it says that they called out to Hashem in their pain, and He saved them from their suffering. It's which is a little bit hard to translate on the fly. Anyhow, but the cry needs to be from the internal part of the heart. Because the internal part of yourself, not just an external thing necessarily. I don't know if this is what he's referring to, but maybe. No, so Friedrich Rebbe says in the Kisser, so I know that I'm good. So calling out, not just calling out because you have the chitaniistic things that are going on in the world that you're calling out Hashem, that you want redemption from them, but calling out from your essence, of who you are, that arouses by Hashem also the essence of who He is, Kaviyachol, that He suffers when the Yidden suffer, and when you use your most internal aspect, you're able to arouse Hashem's most internal aspect because they're connected all the way through. Like it says in yesterday's Chumash, whatever. Anyhow. I just want to read the Kitzur and then we'll be done. So, Kitzur. Any questions on that?
No.
What? Okay, so if it's so many questions, then we'll talk after another. So, if it's man abayis, or Yisrael shleim kiyum material mitzvos, how Yisrael mushpam b'shafar rava b'gashmius nesim al l'kos sheher v'gilei. So, in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, when the Yidden were complete in fulfilling Torah and mitzvos, the Yidden received a lot of physical sustenance, more than like the regular thing that would come from the godly light. It was Maragolus Bnei Yisrael Hem Shiflos, and at the time of Golus, Yidden are in a lowly place of Chotzrasim, Litzar Shemakia Pnimius, and in all of the Yidden's pain, Hashem has pain because it reaches to Him internally. And through tshuva, from the depths of the heart, a person is able to arouse their premius, and when they arouse their premius, not just arouse their premius, they're able to arouse their premius, not just their own premius, but Hashem's premius.
So